At this point, we've looked at a lot of brushes. Between all of the default brushes in Krita, the brushes that I've created, the brushes other artists have created, and the brushes that you can create, there are more brushes available than you could ever use in one lifetime. For a first-time user of Krita, the sheer number of brushes to choose from can feel intimidating. Through experimentation, you will discover which brushes are valuable to you, but I will also offer some suggestions for brushes that I find useful. I would consider these to be my essential brushes. To make them quicker to access, all of these brushes are located in a custom bundle. Before we begin, I'll remind you to reset any modified brushes to their defaults to ensure they match my demonstrations. I'll use the brush testing template to demonstrate. Let's start with some airbrushes in the rendering AR category. The first variant is called Airbrush Soft. Airbrushes are one of the oldest and most basic brushes one can use to create digital art, but they are still incredibly useful. The feathered edges and slowly building opacity make airbrushes perfect for adding form to objects and creating hand-painted gradients. I have a lot of control over the brush opacity using pen pressure. You can also apply blending modes to modify how the brush media blends with underlying paint. You can quickly access these from the properties bar. Let's set it to multiply. If I overlap strokes, I can build up my color darker without having to change anything in the color selector. When working with blending modes, you may also want to blend strokes with underlying colors using an appropriate layer blending mode. I'll revert the template. The Grainy airbrush is similar to the previous airbrush, but with the ability to use texture. You can see that it has a soft edge with some texture throughout the stroke. I can easily change this from the properties bar. Glazing airbrush is also similar to the soft airbrush, but it uses wash instead of buildup for the paint blending mode. Have a look at the previous lesson to learn about the differences between wash and buildup. This brush is useful for slowly building up thin glazes of paint with opacity that is more even and easy to control. Next is the Glow airbrush, which also has airbrush qualities. This variant builds up colors in a way that mimics natural light. The blending mode is set to screen, but you can also get some nice lighting effects using the color dodge mode. I use this brush a lot for lighting objects and backgrounds. Next is the Pepper airbrush. This brush sprays out droplets of paint that vary in size at only a few pixels in diameter. This brush works well for creating stars, snow, and sand. You may want to use the mouse to make single dabs so you don't build up too many features at once. The size of the features can be controlled in the brush editor under Spray Shape. You will need to link the width and height to keep the features round. Unlinking will allow you to make ellipses and lines. The Pixel airbrush is next. This brush sprays out even finer speckles. You can use this for a more controlled spray that builds up slowly. Moving on to some other brush types, we have the Smooth pen. This creates an opaque stroke with a smooth edge. It works well for inking or blocking in layers. You could use this brush to establish the silhouette of an object and then use other types of brushes to add form to it. You can edit the brush tip to tweak the edges of this brush if you want the edges of your silhouette to be sharper or softer. Let's move on to the sketching pencil. This is a fantastic pencil because you can tilt your pen to change the shape and opacity of the dab, allowing you to emulate shading with the side of it. Opacity and texture both respond nicely to pen pressure. As you can see, I can create a smooth gradient from dark to light by modulating my pressure. This is my go-to brush for sketching and pencil drawing because it has a superb look and feel. The cylinder pen is an RGB A-type brush that uses a lightness map to create a 2.5D stroke. I'll select a dark brown, and you can see that I'm able to use varied pressure to paint tree branches that look almost three-dimensional. This may save you from having to add shading later with an airbrush. You can even use it for leaves if you make shorter strokes. This brush could even be useful for creating textures, as you can see if I place strokes right up against each other. Now let's check out the chalk, which I find useful for adding texture to objects. You can get a lot of different looks from many of my brushes by changing your texture. For a texture that is even more random, there is random chalk. This brush has a bit more randomization to make the texture less repetitive. You can see the difference if I compare two strokes. Both of these brushes can benefit from setting the paint blending to screen or multiply. As you can see, I can use a single color to create the base color of foliage, as well as the highlights and shadows. Chalk is just a name for these brushes. I use them more for their shape than their medium. Next is sponge. This brush has a spongy dab with a lot of detail. You can dab with this brush or overlap strokes to create a more intricate texture. If we make our brush bigger, the texture gets larger. If we make the brush smaller, the texture gets finer. You can also modify the texture pattern. This brush works well to add a quick texture overlay on a separate layer. Variable shape uses a masked brush tip to blend between two different dab shapes. Making the brush larger increases the size of the shapes. Heavy pressure makes distinct shapes that are more opaque, and light pressure makes soft shapes that are more transparent. I find this brush to be incredibly useful for painting foliage because it generates a wide variety of leaf patterns. And by modifying the texture pattern, I can randomize the leaf shapes even more. Next, I'll load the blenders template, and let's take a look at some of my essential blenders. As you can see, it's possible to get a lot of different looks out of the blenders, but I only use a handful of these variants on a regular basis. One blender that is very useful is the Diffuse Blender. Using very light pressure allows you to slightly fuzz up the pixels. Heavy pressure really scatters them. This brush works well for blending colors together with a drier appearance. Grainy Blender has a similar effect, though the scattering is more pronounced due to the texture being used. You can modify the pattern to get different textures. Let's try another brush called Water Blender. This blender emulates blending transparent media with plain water. The edges of the brush are soft, which gives the blend a wet appearance. Another useful blender is Blur. I can use it to soften the edges of objects to make them out of focus. Lowering the opacity makes the blurring more subtle. This brush works well to add depth and distance to your scene. Next is Oily Blender. This is an oily looking blender that can also smudge around the paint. Tilting your pen changes the angle of the dab, giving you more randomization. Next up is Coarse Oily Blender. This blender is similar to Oily Blender, but with a sharper, more streaky smudging. Also included with the blenders are some distortion brushes. These are not technically blenders, but they can mix up paint, which borders on blending. For example, I can use Distort Push to mix the paint together, which gives the impression of blending. If I mix for long enough, I will eventually create intermediate colors. We'll come back to distortion brushes in a later lesson. Let's explore the variants in my palette knives category. I'll return to the brush testing template. Flat knife is an excellent brush because it can add paint and smudge at the same time. If you use heavy pressure, you will apply paint. If you lighten your pressure, the brush runs out of paint and begins to smudge the underlying colors. Returning to heavy pressure adds paint again. I love the way I can lay down paint and then blend it out. It feels very natural. As you can see, I can create water ripples and easily give them form. Many of these palette knives are flat, so they can be rotated using tilt. Being able to rotate a flat dab allows you to intuitively change the shape of your marks to get a wide range of effects from tree trunks to foliage. Let's try the mountain knife next. This is a great brush for painting silhouettes of mountains that fade into mist. Lighter pressure will toggle to mixing so you can smudge the paint. The mix property is being used, so when you use light pressure, you'll get more of the secondary color. For a misty effect, make this white or a lighter shade. I'll paint a simple mountain shape. There is a broken palette knife that gives a nice paint break effect where the paint sticks to the canvas in some places and not in others. As with a traditional knife, you can get more paint break with a light touch. A heavy touch will cover the texture more. I'll enable Preserve Alpha and use varied pressure to add some snow to one side of the mountain shape. Make subsequent overlapping strokes to easily control the buildup of the paint. This is another RGB airbrush that simulates impasto. You can modify the texture options to change the texture of this brush. In particular, contrast controls the fractal pattern. You can play with this property alongside choosing different textures to get a range of effects. The last thing I want to discuss is using the right brush for the job. There are so many brushes that can do essentially the same thing. There are probably 100 brushes you could use to create trees, but you have to think about what type of trees you want, or what kind of style you want for your painting. The best way to find the right brush is to just experiment with different brushes and take a look at what they can do. Make observations about how the brush looks and feels. For instance, if you find a brush that looks like it would work well for painting trees, you can save it as a tree brush. Then, anytime you want to paint trees, use one of your tree brushes. It wouldn't make sense to use the Airbrush to try and paint leaves when there are brushes that can do it more quickly and effectively. Try to get the effect you want in just a few strokes, rather than spending all day rendering objects with a basic brush. As you work with Krita more and more, you're going to start to discover which brushes are valuable for your workflow, and if you take time to save and categorize them, you'll always have the right brush available when you need it. That covers the brushes that I consider to be essential for my workflow.